Asa, welcome. Asa Sellers is the Minister of Music at Ebenezer Church in Roswell, Georgia. And if I remember correctly, I think it has a history dating back to the 1850s. So it's an old church. It's a historic church in Roswell, Georgia. Um, Asa has previously served as a music director at Discovery Church and also as a youth pastor at Life Church. And I'm going to bungle this name, Palatka, or something like that. Asa has studied a Bachelor of Worship and Arts in Music Ministry at Baptist College of Florida. So Asa, welcome. Tell us a little bit about you. Are you who you are, and are you a Florida native?
I am. So I grew up in Mount Dora, Florida, and Mount Dora is about 45 minutes south of Orlando. So Orlando, Florida, kind of had a lot of bleed over into Mount Dora. It used to be a very small town, but it's triple in size. And the call to music ministry full time did not really come until I was in my early 20s. I was 21 when I started college, technically, and because I took a little bit of time to work, and I originally saw myself more as a music artist at the time, and like a lot of times, like the story is for a lot of us, God had different plans. I wasn't opposed to the idea of the call to music ministry, but I'd never imagined that it was going to be a career as well as a calling and such. I didn't know that was possible. Because what do you know at 20 years old? And I received an invitation to go and study at the Baptist University of Florida. And when I discovered that that was something you could go and study, I said, I need to give it at least a semester of my time to see what the Lord is going to do.
Yeah,
And since then, it's definitely been a journey. And I studied a minor in biblical theology and a major in worship at BCF for about 4 years, and I I've been in music ministry and youth ministry ever since. Music ministry has definitely been the dominant factor for where the Lord has called me so far for the 7 years that I'm doing it now, really post Bible college. But youth ministry has definitely been something I have been involved in. If I'm not the person who's preaching, for youth wherever I've been at, simply because it is the single most important ministry of any church,
sure.
is is ministering to the youth so that they know how to carry the torch. Obviously, in the next chapter for them to come. So I've always been involved. If I'm not the person who's leading the youth, I'm
Yeah.
assisting the guy who is.
Okay.
Um, so youth ministry for me has always been something that I either wear the hat for or I'm a big leg for, because
Hmm.
one way or another, uh, the youth need more than just the youth minister. That's every youth group that thrives,
Yeah.
whether it's a youth group of 20 or 200. Any youth group, if you want it to succeed, it can't be the youth minister alone. You need multiple adults to reach the multiple different personality types of kids that are out there. And that's part of what is going on for us at Ebenezer Church. We have a lot of kids that are crazy into computers, and we have a lot of kids that are into athletics, or at least for the small amount of them that we have right now. Ebenezer Church just launched its first 10 o'clock contemporary service
Okay.
on Sunday mornings. That's why it's such an old church, because a lot of people still drive by our building right now and they don't quite know what it is, because we just built it a year ago. So
Really?
yeah, so the story with that is this started out as a 80-person traditional church, and a huge amount of money at some point was donated in order for them to purchase the property that's next door to where the original building is, and they built a brand new building from the ground up. And the purpose of that was to do two things. Number one, it's to be in an event center for lease, and that's kind of a local outreach process
Yeah.
for us right now. We lease the venue to the community on several different occasions. We do a lot of weddings. We do a couple of corporate dinners. We have a couple of private school staff dinner parties a
Yeah.
few times throughout the year, and that's a big outreach for us. But the second and primary purpose for the building is to be the contemporary sanctuary and the place where youth worship is going to take place. And we're launching our first ever full scale youth service on the 20th, this coming
Nice.
Thursday.
Oh, nice.
So that's kind of the unpredictable factor because we've had a lot of families come and check us out. And technically, we have a lot of youth that know of us and have visited with us. But for the very first time, we actually have their own service to offer them. So
Yeah.
we are at kickoff
Yeah.
point. We are getting ready to
Yeah.
launch that.
That's
It's
amazing.
brand new.
It's a
Yeah.
classic chicken and the egg problem, even in business, right? Even with the app that I'm launching, right? It requires
Yeah.
community for it to succeed, but community is difficult to find if no one is there, so it's crickets and it's quiet. It takes the first couple of brave people to sign up, so your youth program, you have the building, but now you just need to fill it up with the people. But if you didn't have the building, it's not there's no space for the people, right?
Right.
But but you build with faith, and the outreach that you're doing is great. So that's amazing. Um, so is there like a separate youth band as well?
That's in development. So that's the
Okay.
cool thing. Chicken or the egg, you were spot on, Conrad, because one of the things that we have going for us right now. So I never got to meet, or I never got to really conversate in depth with these three boys that do it. But there's three teenage boys that are local to Roswell, Georgia, where we're at, and they succeeded at kind of creating this gospel community that was entirely high schooler led.
Amazing.
They're supposed to be students at, if I'm getting this right, they're supposed to be students at Fellowship Christian School, which is a private school that is very close to us. I do some local chaplain work for them every once in a while, and we have a couple of members of our church that are teachers there. So I'm very close connected with Sarah Needleman and all the people that um, help out with the students and that. That's a big local outreach platform to us because even though it's a religious school, I believe about 80% of their
Yeah.
student body right now is unchurched. So
Yeah.
it's a huge outreach opportunity for us. But this group of kids that just gather together from every high school that's around Roswell, Georgia, met at our building um 2 weeks ago. It was crazy how God just kind of threw them to us, but they called us the Wednesday before the Thursday night they wanted to do it and they said, "Hey, we need a place. We're gonna have just a night of worship.
Huh.
We're gonna write letters to our family members of what we're thankful for, and we're gonna sing some songs. And we have a kid that's giving the message." So me and the pastor were like, "Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Come on."
Who are these
So
kids, man? That's amazing.
yeah, dude, it's very interesting being in ministry right now, man. We're getting ready to finally harvest. I feel like the struggle is
Yeah.
over when it comes to spiritual enlightenment because this
Yeah.
generation's had enough, dude.
Yeah.
Like the generation coming behind mine, I was born in '96,
Yeah.
so I'm an elder of Gen Z or I'm the baby of the millennials, whichever. But the generation coming after us, dude, they've had enough. They
Yeah.
they see through deception so easily. They're not buying into the ways of the world. They want the Lord. So it's cool,
About
man.
time. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're literally on the cusp of revival. So
Mm,
that's the cool part. That's kind of the preamp of our faith right now, Conrad, because we just had 110 kids show up on their own free will.
amazing.
They're
Yeah.
led by a couple of 17-year-olds that don't quite know what they're doing yet, but that's okay. They mean right, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so we're hoping that they come back. They let us announce that we're gonna have our own youth service, and a good handful of them said they were coming back. So we have that going for us. We have that little group that is aware of us. They may still want to meet independently. They
Sure.
may decide they want to join forces with us. We're gonna see. We're kind of
Yeah.
praying about how to maneuver
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
right now. Because it's not every day God throws 120 students in your lap.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and so when we kick off, we're very curious to see how many of them show up, but one of the big things that we're kind of praying about is we're going to see how that factors in, and at the same time we're also going to see who we have musician wise, going back to your question, because
Yeah.
right now, I just have 2 girls that can kinda sing, and it's gonna be an acoustic set for when we launch, but
Yeah.
as soon as that happens, if we get at least a third of the kids that we had 2 weeks ago, we're opening the floodgates, and my hope is we will develop a youth praise team for sure. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna handle audio and visual and let them do
Yeah.
it. But, I mean, that all depends on how many of them,
Yeah.
regularly show up for a
Now
while, so
now
we're gonna see.
now Now, do you have is the new um, contemporary place, is that already loaded up with gear and good to go, but just missing the team, or are you waiting to build that out as you build the team out? Like, does it
Oh,
have a
yeah.
stage with drum kit, all the audio stuff, and all that?
Oh, yeah, man. So
Oh,
that's the cool
nice.
thing. That's the other thing I should add. I am relatively new to Ebenezer.
Okay.
I was serving at a church in Arcadia, Florida before I moved here. And uh, when I was called here, I basically went to work before I actually went to work because I brought my car up here earlier. I didn't feel like driving in on a U-Haul trailer. And I have some extended family that live in Woodstock. And I was looking over Facebook Marketplace when I was sitting up here in Woodstock, and I text the pastor, and I'm like, "Hey, Pastor Glenn, listen, we might as well just go ahead and get this thing. I found a drum set on Facebook Marketplace for $300.
Yeah.
And this is so cool, man. So I'm like, dude, if you got $300 cash that the church can give us, Pastor, that's just going to save us a lot of money because that our sanctuary, you can see it online. You can see a whole video tour of it on our website. It echoes. So we
Mm.
need good quality shielding. We were not going to be able to go cheap with shielding and all that when we
Yep.
developed it when I first got here. So I went ahead and went to work, even though I was there a couple days early from when I was supposed to start. I was like, "Okay, let's get it on there." And this is how God has just been blessing us with resources, Conrad. A retired church planter is now our drummer for the Sunday morning 10 o'clock service. And he is a drummer of 30 years of experience and he's got a whole workshop at his home. So when he comes, he says, "Oh man, this thing can play great. It just needs a little cleaning up. I'm going to take it home and I'm going to put some fresh
Nice.
heads on it for you guys. I'm going to
Yeah.
clean it up. I'm going to make it look show ready for you guys. And I'm going to donate some cymbals to the church. And I have an
Nice.
acrylic drum set that I'm going to fuse with it." So he's bringing that in a little bit. But man, it just took a little bit of faith.
Yeah.
All we had to do is just start with little, start with the minimal, and
Yeah.
God's blessed us with the many just because we're being good stewards of our resources, which
Yeah.
is biblical. That's what the Bible says. It does not say to exploit your resources.
Yeah.
How many
Yeah.
churches are responsible for doing that, right?
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. So you mentioned that you were in the music scene before you went to Bible college or whatnot. What were your aspirations like musically back then?
I wanted to be a musician since the day that I discovered what a musician was at 9 years old.
Yeah.
I begged my parents to let me take guitar lessons, and they said, "Well, take piano first." And somewhere along the way, I think we met him at a Costco. We meet this guy that I'm still friends with today, Colombian guy that taught piano, and he knew how a guitar worked. So I wanted to be a guitarist. I wanted to be a guitarist. I loved Stevie Ray Vaughan. I had some unique guitar idols, for lack of better words. I had some unique guitar inspirations. I was not like a huge fan of the classic rock guys. I wish I
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
I am now, obviously, but like it
Yeah.
didn't start out that way. I did not want to be Slash. I didn't want to be Eddie Van Halen. I wanted to be Jason Mraz. I wanted to be Ed Sheeran. I wanted to be John Mayer. I wanted to be those guys. And so Matt Nathanson, Tim Carter, Dave Matthews Band, all the guys that like you basically listen to on the school bus on the way to school if you went to public school in the early 2000s. I don't know why, but I just loved that music because the music had meaning. The music had big
Yeah.
lyrical depth. The
Yeah.
instrumentation was not as strong as their predecessors, but it was
Yeah.
definitely the early 2000s was the singer-songwriter era, dude. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and, I loved that, and I saw myself being that guy. So I wanted to learn how to sing, I wanted to learn how to play piano, and I wanted to learn how to play guitar. As soon as I was 10 years old, I just remember seeing, my dad showing me this clip of Stevie Ray Vaughan playing "Mary Had a Little Lamb," and I'm like, I can do that. All I
Yeah.
gotta do is learn the fundamentals of music, and I can figure that out somewhere. So like I said, the Colombian guy taught me piano for 2 years. Then he's like, uh, "Listen, I'm going to teach you Spanish guitar." He's like, "You can learn American music on your own. I'm going to teach you Spanish classical. We're gonna get you into
Nice.
college for music." And yeah,
Yeah.
so I started out a Spanish classical guitarist, and then after 2 more years of that, when I'm about 13, I'm finally like, okay, let's start learning some modern music, and I taught myself. And
Nice.
Yeah, about 2 years later, Jesus came along, and then all of a sudden, praise and worship got involved, and that's kinda where God started taking the lead.
Yep. Yep. Amazing. So so how many instruments you play? Obviously, you've been to school. Um, you piano. I think your parents made a good decision. I think anytime a parent says you need to learn piano, that's always a good decision. That's always good
Absolutely.
advice. I think you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you write? Do you still have you written any worship songs? I mean, you seems like you are fully capable of writing some really cool songs.
I have.
Nice.
So that's where honestly, dude, that's where God and I have wrestled sometimes because like man, you walk with the Lord for a while and eventually you start kind of coming to a point to where you're like, "Okay, Father, I get it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to be this because you have something better for me."
Yeah.
And I mean, no, I'm not going to say that Ebenezer Church is non-interested. In fact, Pastor Glenn Hannigan, our senior pastor, he's awesome. He was a newspaper journalist before he came on. He's very interested in writing original music. In fact, he's asked me to compose original music. So I'm not saying that I'm going to close the door on the possibility of being known for a songwriter in some
Yeah.
degree,
Yeah.
but I wanted that lustfully when I was in college, and I thought I was
Sure.
gonna get the chance to build a local following as an artist, be another Jared Dines on YouTube, kinda
Yeah.
put that together, but every time I tried to put any energy into that,
Yeah.
God always said, "No, I need you doing this, I need you focusing on this." But
Yeah.
there is original music out there that I've composed for sure.
Yeah.
I have an album called Visions that I released somewhere along the way at 17 years old. Um, and then there's another album out there called Sides that I released, when I was I think I was 22. I think I was like uh yeah. I was just getting into my junior year of college. And then I have two praise and worship songs out there called Come Alive and I Want to Dance. Come Alive I wrote way back when I was 17 years old, and then I Want to Dance was like not long ago. It was about 5 years ago.
Nice. All of these on YouTube? I'll have to get you link I have to get links from you.
Yeah, they're all on YouTube and they're all on
Awesome.
Apple Music.
Oh, sweet, sweet. Awesome.
Yeah,
Dude, I definitely think like writing it look, the chances of you becoming a rock star, like being known for that is always there.
yeah,
But the worst case scenario is I think you can write original music for your church, and which is not really a bad thing, but that's the lowest it can get. And you
yeah,
can sing it in your church. You can sing the songs about the struggles in your church, right? From the 150 youth that show up to the 80 people sitting in the traditional service. I think you have a great perspectives and great song. Two different um, things are happening in your church, and I think it makes for two different struggles are happening at your place as well, which makes for great, almost two different unique voices can sing from that part of Roswell, Georgia. Um,
sure.
you know, so that's amazing. So did you directly go into a leadership position after you finished school, or did you serve like as a part of a band, or did you just get into a leadership position?
So, part of how that college's program works is they let you go and be a paid interim
Okay.
at small churches, and they're usually very simple positions.
Yeah.
They're old traditional churches that I mean the building may be paid off, but they don't necessarily have the revenue necessary to
Yeah.
pull on a full time worship pastor or anything like that.
Yeah.
So they partner with local churches to let you go and lead music there at 80-person churches and all that,
Yeah.
so that way you get a little bit of field experience on your
Yeah.
way out.
Yeah.
um and those churches will test you because the most of those churches are still very traditional. So that's one thing that's kind of unique. It's like you kind of got to retune to the
Yeah.
rest of the world
Yeah.
when you get out of the program. But not all of them are like that. The majority of them are, and it does make you rounded. You definitely benefit a good bit from it. I'm glad that I know
Yeah.
like all the legacy hymnal stuff and all that from that era. It's definitely been a huge assistance down the line.
Yeah.
Um, but when I was just getting ready to finish Bible college, and a lot of people probably have heard of BCF, but it was probably called BBI. It was called Baptist Bible Institute way back in the day. Um, uh, and I was like 6 months away from finishing college, and I took on a position, um, that kind of opened up to me. I had led worship for this small little church up in Ozark, Alabama, um, as a substitute for their main person, and he was bivocational, and, that church grew. It was a church plant that succeeded for a while, and they bought their own building. They were renting a place before, they brought me on, but they bought their own building and they offered me a position because the other guy left, and they kind of gave me a unique situation. They gave me a rent-free parsonage to live in. So I was part-time, but I was teaching private music lessons for work at the time. And they said, "Hey, if you want to keep your teaching job, you could probably make this work because you can come lead worship for us. And down the line, if we grow, we may bring you on full time, we may not. But we'll
Yeah.
give you a rent free place to live, so that way
Yeah.
you can function and all that.
Yeah.
And we'll partner with you for local mission work and all that. So yeah, I started with them 6 months beyond Bible college. So as soon as I graduated, I kind of just slipped right on in.
Nice.
Uh, yeah, so
Yeah.
that's kinda where everything started out. I was there for about 3 years before I moved back to Florida.
Awesome. So let's talk about your worship planning, right? Sunday is
Yeah.
coming up. Obviously, you're well into your plan for this Sunday. But what's the first thoughts? Like Sunday is over, um, right? And next week, like on a Monday morning, do you? What's the first thoughts that are swirling in your head as a worship leader, and how do you approach planning? And also, what kind of a band setup do you have at the 80% church right now? Is it like traditional choir and piano, or and yeah? So those two things. How do you go about your planning, and what's the band setup like?
So that's the cool part, man. That's the cool part about who we are at Ebenezer. You can go and see this content on our website too.
Yeah.
We have both. So the original building still operates. We have two traditional services. We have an 8:30 pure traditional service. The choir is still alive and well. Greg Millette, our traditional music minister, does a great job with them. And we have an 11:15 traditional service. For now, Pastor Glenn preaches at all three, and we have the 10 o'clock contemporary in between them. So 8:30, 10 o'clock, 11:15. And when it comes to the planning process, I plan about 3 months worth of music. And because of all the events going on, we do have a unique rehearsal day. Right now, we're rehearsing Tuesday nights. So I'm really not demanding about it. One of the things that we really take pride in at Ebenezer is we're not perfectionists.
Mm,
That's not who we are church culture wise. And Pastor Glenn is very um, militant about protecting church culture.
yeah.
If things don't go perfectly on Sunday, nobody's having a cow about it. Nobody
Yeah.
cares really, simply because we're all just there for the right reasons. A lot of things that we do are not necessarily industry standard, and they're probably not going to be.
Yeah.
They could go that way, and we're not
Yeah.
opposed to doing things industry standard, but it's just it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be for us.
Yeah.
Now we definitely carry the industry standard when it comes to just pursuing excellence in a good way. I mean,
Yep.
we've got playback. I wouldn't we may switch to Ableton one day, but we're not sold on that yet. So we have backing tracks, we have in-ear monitors, we're fully geared up for the 10 o'clock service.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like just the other day, man. We're doing Paul Baloch's "How Great Thou Art" for service this Sunday morning, and for one reason or another, the backing track was just not feeling right for us. So instead of kind of trying to really push on it, which is what most worship leaders want to do now, tracks equals quality in the eyes of
Yeah.
many right
Yep.
now. And some people go that way. Our mentality is, well, you know what, we have a full band anyway, so if
Yeah.
it's not jiving, let's just do it the old fashioned way this
Yeah.
Sunday. Let's just leave the pad on and let's
Yeah.
just do it live.
Yeah.
Um, and it was great. It was so liberating because we do one in every five songs that we do is a non-track song. Um, so that's kind of the cool thing, man. When it comes to planning, I have 3 months worth of music usually set up, but it's not so it's not so compartmentalized for us to where if God kind of does something unique during rehearsal time, essentially, especially since it's such the beginning of the week for us right now, we're
Yeah.
not we're not opposed to changing stuff up in the heat of the moment if it just
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
And that element's been lost in a lot of music ministry. That
Yep.
element has been lost for a lot of
Yep.
churches.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
mean I mean the fear of failure is a big preempt for that for sure.
Yep.
But I think we've definitely gone just the church as a whole, we've gone very production driven. And yeah, okay, there is a matter of doing things with excellence that we certainly want to hold up, but
Absolutely.
we don't let it dominate the culture of our church.
Yeah.
That's where I think we lose it a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It's easy to give into the temptation of letting performance drive everything, and then you lose the genuine spiritual factor, because the second things don't go right, the second things fall loose, what do you have then?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's about where we're at, planning
Yeah.
wise anyway.
Awesome. Yeah, like I said, my like the same friend, Mike O'Brien, I remember him clearly saying, watching a great video, right? And saying like, was anybody offended that it was perfect? No. Perfection is not like watching a great band, a great musician play. It's not offensive.
Yep,
So it's not offensive to be perfect. It's not offensive to want to be perfect, put in the effort, you know, but worship first, and I think sometimes the tracks gets in the way of organic worship. Like I always say, like if you're playing 100% tracks and you start at like 9 o'clock in the morning and your set list ends at 9:22 uh, and 6 seconds, then there's if the Holy Spirit is not programmed into Ableton, like then there's no room for him. Like Holy Spirit, you step in at like the 10-second mark and you're out at like the 50-second mark. And like, Holy Spirit, got it. Tell me when to step in,
yeah,
So like if you leave room, I love that organic worship. But again, if it's more seeker friendly, I get it. People would want to come back if that has that perfect experience. It works for some. It's not right. It's not wrong. It's a preference thing and I prefer the organic and the flaws. If you listen to great musicians, even it's funny. Like you were mentioning Jared Dines, I'm assuming you listen to Rick Beato as well.
yeah,
And they always musicians who've matured. They always talk about like how great a song is, not because it was to the grid, but because it has flaws, because they strayed from the click, and they
yeah,
sped up. Talks like one song can have three different tempos, right? Because they
yep,
played it organic and something uh, in them caused them to play that way, and that's what's being captured. And I think if you put that on the stage, we take the Holy Spirit's influence and what's happening with the people, and it morphs the song into something more organic that's cannot be recreated on any other day, and that's what makes it special. And that's the aspect as a musician and as a creative person, I love that part as
yep,
opposed to just playing to the grid, clocking in and clocking out. Again, not right or wrong. I don't like it, and I prefer the organic worship. So, what are the biggest so you are mostly the contemporary guy. You don't do you lead any of the traditional music?
we definitely help each other out from time to
Okay.
time. In fact, that's going to be a fun thing for next year, because we just
Yeah.
launched a couple of months ago on October 26th.
Yeah.
That video is fantastic. We're still getting our live streaming up and running.
Yeah.
We are going to get the proper live gear set up in a little bit, but for now we're doing it with an iPhone and a couple of mics. Just because that's the last big project that we got in front of us AV wise.
Yeah.
Um, so we're working with what we got for now. The
Yep.
Lord will use it, and He's used it in mighty ways.
Yep.
And one of the uh, one of the big things that um, I think me and Greg missed out on this year was we kind of missed out on the chance to really show our full potential for Christmas, because we just didn't have a lot of time to put Christmas stuff together. We have a Christmas service set up, but it's going to be a basic candlelight service. So yeah, me and Greg definitely work together a lot when we have the ability to. We're talking about having a choir Sunday, where they
Yeah.
can. because the choir is small. The choir is about 15 people for now, and we're hoping that grows because we want the traditional side to grow. We're offering that in tandem to the 10 o'clock service, and we're hoping that we get enough family diversity in the families that come check us out, so where maybe grandma and grandpa want to go and do it the old-fashioned way next door while
Yeah.
the kids come to 10 o'clock. But we've talked about letting the 15-person choir potentially come up and be gang vocals once every 2 months on a Sunday morning and do choir Sunday. We've talked about sending my people to do special performances during the traditional
Yeah.
service. But Christmas next year, since we will have had a year of, getting used to our new rhythm, getting our new setting in, is definitely going to be a fun project for me and Greg because
Yeah.
we'll have the right amount of time that you really need to pull off a Christmas service.
Yep. Yep.
So for sure, me and Greg help each other out a lot when we can.
Awesome, awesome. So, how I have just a couple of more questions. I won't keep you for too long. How is AI a thing in your world at all, as far as worship or church goes?
Yeah. Um, you know, uh, that's a great question, Conrad. A lot of people don't really understand that AI is kind of already present. Like, there's an AI that's running playback,
Yeah.
but when it comes to new AI, the new generational AI that we're seeing develop things and all that, um, I have not messed with a lot of AI, and I'm not opposed to it. But the direction that I see it being used wisely, and if I could give a take on it, is I think about the Psalms, comrade, and who was the biggest psalmist that wrote the Psalms?
Yeah. David. Yeah.
David,
Yeah.
right? So I look at it this way. I think AI generation has the potential to do a lot of good for the church as a whole because it could give the chance to make a lot of custom backing track arrangements and such.
Mm.
And I think it could be a great compositional tool. And I definitely am open minded to the idea of using it for instrumentation. When it comes to song lyrics and stuff,
Yeah.
that's the one part of it that I still feel that the Lord would want us to keep in the hands of man
Yeah.
because I don't think God wants to hear lyrics that have been written by a robot, you
Yeah.
know? I think he
Yeah.
wants to hear words that have been written by his children.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the instrumentation and the
Yeah.
key signature and the scales that the song should be sang in and all that,
Yeah.
there's a lot of worship leaders that are called to the chair that are called to lead their church and corporate worship that just don't necessarily have the kind of musical backing that people like me do.
Yeah.
And AI has a great way to help people that are kind of not doing it the academic way that are called to worship leadership organically. I think
Yeah.
AI has the chance to be a great tool for them because all they need to do is write the lyrics, have your Bible in front of you, have the Psalms in front of you for
Yeah.
inspiration, have whatever book in
Yeah.
the Bible you're taking your lyrics to be inspired from, and uh, and then use the AI generation to figure out what key you want to do it in. Make sure that the parts are all in sync. Make sure the harmonies are correct, and do all AI can do
Yeah.
all that for you, and
Yeah.
then you can take it to a studio tech to distribute it and such. So.
Yeah.
Are we using it right? Are we using advanced AI right now? No, but are we
Yeah.
opposed to it down the line? No.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing to hear, like, a church that was founded in the 1850s right now is kind of sort of open to AI and not like running away and saying AI bad.
Yeah.
But I think finding the right amount of friction is definitely worth exploring. How much I when I think of it, I separate it like, heart versus business. What's the heart and what's the business of this thing that I'm doing, you know? And make sure AI does not interrupt the heart side of things. Well, as the business side of things, yes, automate as much as you want, speed it up, the lyrics, but I also wrestled with with AI and lyrics. Surely I'm definitely I would not want to listen to I don't know, I'm hesitant at least. Would not is really strong, but if the rocks can cry out, if God can use donkeys, is AI
Yeah.
just another donkey that
Yeah.
we are ignoring? So it's very easy to say uh, it's an early stage, and as we progress, who knows? If it's done the right way, if people come up with a really valid option, I don't know, but right now it just feels weird to worship with this to lyrics that a bot wrote that it just learned
Right.
from a thousand other songs, you know. So that's glad to hear, Asa. So Asa, what's your before we go on? Like, I have two more questions. What's does that name mean something? And it's the shortest name. That's as short as a name can go. Like Asa, just a three-letter word. Is it short for something else?
For sure. It's short for so it's a biblical name, and
Asa.
it's short for the word healer.
Okay.
I looked up its name. That's not why my dad found it, but my
Okay.
father, well, I was the first musician in my family, by the way. My dad's a landscaping tool engineer. He owns a business that sells landscaping tools. But when he was 16 years old, um, he um when he was 16 years old, he was in Sunday school or something like that. Um, and found my name in he found my name in Second Kings. He was the grandfather of Rehobosheth, if I'm getting that name right. But Asa was one of the kings that rule Israel before the second exile, before Nebuchadnezzar.
Hmm.
So he just found it when he was looking at the huge line of kings. They were talking about all the kings that ruled Israel before the second
Yeah.
exile that Sunday morning. And when he heard the name, he's like, Asa. He's like, I'm gonna hold on to that. And
Amazing.
that's
When he
how
was 16?
yeah. So he
That's
held on to
crazy.
it.
Yeah.
That was the one thing he asked. He said he told my mom she can have anything she wanted. He's like, "If we have a son, I want his name to be Asa. That's
I
it.
love it.
That's all
That's
I'm
a great
asking."
story.
Yeah.
That's a great story, and considering he was 16 when he found that and looking at all the songs that you released, like a bunch of it was when you were just 17. Uh,
Yeah.
a lot tends to happen in the Sellers family at the 16 and 17 age. A lot of things that carry weight over generations, so that's interesting to see. Um, last question for you, Asa. Tell us, did you experience any worship fails? Anything embarrassing?
Oh yeah. All the time. I've coughed into the mic at least
Okay,
once.
nice.
Yeah. I've coughed in the mic. I think twice. Um, and I think probably the biggest thing that I've done when I was first learning how to use backing tracks, um, I played uh the third song instead of the invitational song for a service because I was thinking that I don't know why, but I had this small idea that I might have missed something when I was putting the tracks together because it wasn't playback, it was Ableton. And
Okay.
I think I forgot to transpose the bass track um to the correct key. So like if the actual song would have played, you know, the bass guitar would have been completely off key
Yeah, yeah.
from the rest of the mix. And I said, "Hey, we're going to do What a Beautiful Name again." And that pastor at the time was very much a OCD minded person, so he did not appreciate that. But yeah, I figured it was better than you know, potentially having something crazy out of key.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know, so that's a pretty big worship
yeah.
fail that I've had before. Oh,
Especially
and
especially the bass track, it can change your chords.
yeah, exactly. No, yeah, if the bass is not
Yeah.
there, it's like the drum falling off time, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there was one time in college when the praise team for that school was on tour. I think I fell asleep in a service for like 3 seconds once. If that counts. If that counts as a worship
It
fail.
does count, does count. Oh, speaking of bass track in the wrong key, and you saying you're kinda learning to like, the classic rock guys, you should go check it out, like Van Halen playing Jump live.
Yeah.
Somebody programmed the whole, how Jump is a whole keyboard song, the intro and the whole solo. It was in a totally different key that they were playing live, but they just played the song, dude. They did not stop. Keyboard,
Oh wow.
the whole synth part is in a different key. They started off the song and they just said, "We're just gonna play through it." The solo in between, nobody changed, nobody adjusted. It's on YouTube. It's pretty
That's crazy.
amazing. Yeah, it's pretty amazing that they did that. Well, Asa, thank you so much, man. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you sharing your heart for worship. What's going on in your church? Pretty exciting things are going on. I'm not too far from Roswell, but my mother-in-law lives closer in that area. We drive there, and sure, a lot of people just drive by without knowing what's exciting things are happening in that church. So it's good to share what's going on, so we all understand, like, hey, like, there's exciting things going on in our church, and we can all get. But look, just lift up your head for a little bit and look around. Your neighbors are also experiencing exciting things that God's doing in their lives, in their churches. And I think we can just live a little bit more connected life. And our God is much bigger than we think. Even in the same zip code, then imagine that on a city, on a state, on a national and a global level. There are 1,000 acers, a million acers experiencing this joy. So it's fantastic to hear just one of you guys, one of the acers, share what's going on. So thanks, man. I appreciate your time. Please do send me your links to all the songs. I will add it to this podcast. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Absolutely, Conrad. Great to see you, brother. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.